नमस्कार व्यूअर्स। आज हमारा ये वीडियो है क्लास 9 के बच्चों के लिए, जिसका टाइटल है हाउ आई टाउट माई ग्रैंड मदर टू रीड। ये उनके लिटरेचर बुक का पहला चैप्टर है। द चैप्टर इन डिस्कशन इज वेरी इंस्पायरिंग। इट टेल्स अबाउट a lady's an old lady's commitment for education, how she decided to be educated. No doubt, the age at which she was filled with the desire for education was said to be not suitable for the task she has undertaken. But one thing we must know: there is no age bar for learning. There is no age of learning. We can learn, we can write at any age. So here we study that Sudhamurti has discussed about her own experience, that how she once taught her grandmother to read. The very title tells us an indirect question ki how she has developed reading or writing skill in her reading or writing ability in her grandmother. That was a very tough job she got, but children, she has got privilege of doing that. She realized the intensity of desire of a grandmother. Actually, the story was written in Kannada language. Later on, it was translated in English, and it is one of the most read. It is one of the very appreciated stories of Sudhamurti, who is an MTech and CEO of had been the CEO of Infosys company. Her writing has a very nice element. We can say that there is a complex human situation. Complex. He wrote about female literacy, and the story we are reading is also just about how she has captured a very nice theme. She is narrating the whole tale. Actually, how I taught my grandmother was written when she wrote it later, but she experienced it at when she was just 12 years old. In her village, she lived with her grandmother, and in those days, we can say the communication was not so fast as it is now. That was the age when newspaper used to be delivered one day late, and at that time, what there was a magazine and the name of the magazine was Karmavira, and the writer was very famous writer Triveni. Although she died young, but she wrote several famous work of art. She wrote several stories. So Triveni was very popular at the time, as she used to write about some local issues. So in the Karmavira used to publish a story in an episodic way, and the name of the story Kasi Yatre. The narrator's grandmother, Kristika is her name, used to be very much fond of the story. As she was unable to read and write, the narrator used to read out that story, and just like a student of kindergarten, we can say, just like a student of very very serious and sensitive student, she used to listen to the story. Why? Because she was very much interested. She used to identify herself with the protagonist of the Kasi Yatre. Actually, Kasi Yatre is a short story in which we find that there is an old lady who has a great desire of visiting Kasi and worship Lord Visheshwara. She wanted to go there, and she had a great liking for that. वो जाना चाहती है, वह काशी जाना चाहती है, जहाँ लॉर्ड विश्वेश्वरा को पूज विश्वेश्वर पूजा करना चाहती है। सी इट वॉज हर लॉन्ग डिजायर, एंड उसके लिए वो सी वॉज सेविंग हर मनी. But what happened that in the same village, in the village in which the lady lived, there was an orphan girl. एक orphan girl थी who was in love with a man, love with a boy with whom she wanted to marry. लेकिन she does not have sufficient fund, as a result of which she was failure in getting married. When the protagonist of the story Kasi Yatre came to know about this, she gave her entire saving to that girl, and marriage was finalized. Narrator's grandmother was very much impressed by this. What happened whenever she listened to the story, she memorized everything in her mind. And in temple courtyard, some ladies sat, and she used to narrate. She was very interested. At that time, the narrator did not understand what great thing is being discussed. She was child, she also used to play their hide and seek with her friends, and she used to see her grandmother. She is narrating the tale. Each episode she listened with a great taste and passion. What happened one day, a very crucial situation arose for the grandmother. The narrator went to a wedding ceremony for 1 or 2 days, but her stay there extended. She went there for 1 or 2 days, but she stayed there for a week. In those days, wedding was a great event. Children used to savor freedom, used to enjoy freedom to the full. That was a great day of getting together, enjoying delicious food. So here we see that narrator was not able to return for a week. In her absence, the magazine Karmavira is delivered. As I have told you, the grandmother used to be very much fond of the story Kasi Yatre. She applied her hand on the picture of the story and tried her best to understand, but she was failure. On that day, she realized the intensity of getting educated, and that simple desire took overpowering overpowering we can say that overpowering commitment to be educated. She was unable to read on that day, and when the letter came, she found her grandmother sad and serious. Amma, everything is all right. Ava is the word used for affectionately. It is used for grandmother. She used Ava. Everything is okay. Grandmother says, but she was looking somber and dull. In the night when the writer was sleeping, she came and sat beside her. She started applying her head affectionately on the forehead of the narrator. The narrator understood that there is something. She wanted to know what is the reason. What क्या matter है grandmother? Please बताओ. She started saying that हमारे समय में education was not so educated. As a result, I was not educated. But in spite of that, I never left any effort going when in educating, in getting my children or grandchildren educated. The narrator did not understand why this old lady is narrating such tale before me in this time of sleeping. My grandmother, please, what's the matter? Yes, when you were not here, the magazine was delivered and I was not able to read. I wanted to be educated. Will you teach me? At this unusual request made to the narrator by Grandmother, she is surprised, but very soon she said, okay, grandmother, I will teach you, and I fix a day. Saraswati Puja during the Sahara will be the time when you will be able to read. Just like a sincere student, the grandmother every day used to sit before the narrator, and narrator Sudhamurti used to teach. Like a very committed, hardworking, passionate, curious student, she was very much sincere to the task given to her by the narrator, and by virtue of her strong willpower, she is able to have the power of learning. She set an example that there is no age of learning, and we can achieve any target flame of if there is a flame of a strong commitment. So here we see that how Sudhamurti realized. So on the fixed date of Sati Puja, it's a very unusual and extraordinary thing happened before the eyes of the narrator. She was made to sit on a table, and grandmother touched her feet. At that unusual act because in our country we traditionally we are bound to traditionally we have been taught to touch the feet of the elder gurus, and but when the narrator was quite surprised at that act of the grandmother, but very soon grandmother said, "Ki, don't be embarrassed. I am touching the feet of not my granddaughter, rather I am touching the feet of my teacher. You are my teacher, and giving respect to teacher is a part of our culture." Here we see that literature, how great values being taught here. Further, she is given a gift of frock to the narrator, and narrator also gave the novel Karmavira, given the storybook, and here Kashi Yatre storybook is given to the grandmother. Grandmother is very much happy. It's a great victory of her. And here we see that her favorite story book she has got, and she read the title, and she is very much filled with pride, filled with happiness that she has been able to achieve a great target. यह स्टोरी था बच्चों. कुछ शब्द हैं यहाँ पर: कन्विंसिंग, leaving no margin for doubt, complex, not easy to understand, ardent, having a strong feeling, protagonist is another word, it's the main character of the story, savoring, enjoying, feeling or experience thoroughly, regret, to be disappointed, embarrassed, to feel awkward. Here these are the words, and I hope that the story must have been understood by you. Here the writer means to say that there is no age bar of learning. Age is just a number. If we want to achieve anything great in life, we can achieve, and that is the message. That is, nothing is so strong as willpower. So we are required to have determination to achieve any goal. Hope this video will help you in understanding the chapters. That's all.